Robert Millner is the chairman of investment group Washington H. Soul Pattinson, Australia's second oldest publicly listed company. It has large stakes in Brickworks and New Hope Coal, two other companies that Millner chairs as well. I had a chance to sit down with him this week to talk about his busy schedule and the challenges he sees facing business. Robert Millner, thanks for your time today. Can we just start by you talking through how many chairmanships and directorships you've currently got?
Don't tell the Shareholders Association this. I think I'm chairman of 4 public companies and sit on the board of another 3. You've got to bear in mind, a lot of those companies were within Soul Pattinson, so I'm not doing any more than I was probably doing 20, 25 years ago as far as having meetings.
How big is your workload?
Oh, I'm in here most days. I do a fair bit of travelling, obviously, but Brickworks have just opened up operations in America, so I've been over there twice this year, and various operations around Australia, so I've got a pretty good life.
Yeah, let's talk Brickworks. Its results came out this morning. Pretty strong result from the property sector in particular. Is that the main growth prospect for Brickworks?
Yeah. We've got a very good joint venture with Goodman Group, and Greg and his team have been very good supporting us. We put our land in and then they go and find the various tenants. So we've got a vast range of tenants in there, from Amazon to Coles to Woolworths to those types of top clients. So, and we're very fortunate where most of our large land holdings are in Sydney and Melbourne, and they're on the big freeways. So this day and age you can't have a B-double running down Parramatta Road. So all these big industrial estates now are starting to be formed on these major freeways.
How much free land have you got left in those areas to develop?
We had about 1,200 acres out at Wargrove, which is on the M7, M4. There's only about 150, I think, of that still to be developed. So as you can see, we've developed a lot of it. There are a couple of creeks that run through there, so obviously we couldn't develop the whole area. And again in Melbourne, we've got some very valuable land on one of the freeways out at Craigieburn.
And the value of that land, how scarce is that land becoming?
20 years ago, you'd be driving to work and you'd hear the traffic report. There'd be cattle on the road at Wargrove, and they were our cattle. So within 20 years, we've got these massive industrial sheds there with a property portfolio worth over $1.5 billion. So it's amazing how it's grown over that period of time.
And how long-term are the leases with those big clients you've just talked about? Mostly
20 years CPI adjusted. And we're now starting to see the old ones 15 or 16 years ago were single storey. We're now starting to see the Coleses and the Amazons going 3 and 4 stories high. So I think we might even go back to the original ones when their leases expire and probably redevelop those and add on to the top of them, because obviously land's scarce.
Brickworks Australian business lodged a bit of an impairment today with rising costs and inflation, supply chain issues. Can you just talk us through, are those really the big challenges you're facing at the moment?
Well, obviously the world's seeing higher inflation, higher interest rates. We haven't been affected as yet, but we have been through a period of very, very high material costs. Steel and timber, for example, were 50% higher than they were 12 or 18 months ago. We've all seen the various news reports about shortage of labour, and obviously COVID has knocked us around as well. But we're confident at the moment. We've got a stream ahead of us, but if interest rates keep going up both here and America, obviously eventually we'll start to see some slowdown.
Do you think that would mean less demand from your customers as rates keep rising?
Well, obviously it's a difficulty for people. Their interest rates go up. Affordability. It's all about affordability, and this is why we're seeing a lot of people moving out of Sydney and Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, for example, going to places like Tassie and regional New South Wales and regional Victoria.
But the actual business itself, providing bricks for the construction sector, that still seems fundamentally strong.
Yeah, well, bricks have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. You've only got to go to Europe and see the roof tiles and the bricks. They've been there, as I said, for hundreds of years. So it's a very strong product.
Washington H. Soul Pattinson results were out too. How do you beat the market by 20%?
Well, this is an unbelievable cycle we're in now, particularly in the coal mining. 25 months ago, which is August 2020, thermal coal was $48 a tonne, This morning it's US 440. And we've seen what's happening around the world with people closing down coal and gas-fired power stations, and no new developments of these resources. And what's happening in Ukraine, we're seeing a real squeeze on energy. And I think going forward there's going to be some people hurt along the road. This is going to be a very major problem the world's going to face. We saw 2 weeks ago in Poland massive demonstrations in the street. We're having problems importing product out of Europe for brickworks because the factories are closing down, paying $100 a kilojoule for gas. So it's not sustainable.
Yeah. What are some of the adjustments you made to your investment portfolio in the last 12 months?
We've got our three major investments, which are TPG, Brickworks and New Hope. We've expanded that. We've spent quite a bit of money, a few $100 million into rural property, into citrus and macadamians, and we've obviously bought quite a bit of water. We're doing quite a bit of debt financing. We've got into swim schools. We started up some swim schools, and we're looking at a couple of bigger businesses in New South Wales to add to those ones that are based in Queensland. And we've just bought a business called Lamp Control, which we used to own 45% of, which is does a lot of manufacturing for longwall mining equipment, and also does a lot of generator work, and also it's venturing into renewables. So we've got a very good team of people here, and they're doing an excellent job, so we're able to keep growing.
And how confident are you feeling as a chairman right now of a number of companies with rising costs and inflation and rising interest rates?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm not quite sure how people realise the inflation and interest rates going up and energy. Yesterday at the Brickworks board meeting, we were informed that wooden pallets have gone from $20 to $22 to $50. So 1 month alone in our masonry division, we've had to pay $400,000 extra for wooden pallets, and this is just one little side. You've got electricity and energy and all these other costs, labour costs. I think we're in for a bit of a slowdown.
You're also chair of New Hope Corporation, had some pretty strong results this week. What's the outlook like for the coal sector?
As I mentioned, coal's at 440 this morning US. There's phone calls from Europe every night, every day. Can we get a shipment of coal? I think in the near future we're going to see these prices up around these levels for a while.
You're also on the board of TUAS. How tough is it going to be to crack the Singapore telco market?
We came in there, that was spun off from when TPG merged with Vodafone. We'd already sort of made some inroads into Singapore, so we floated that business off separately. David Teo is in charge of, he's the chairman of TUAS. We've now got about 7% of the market in Singapore. We made 15.5 million EBITDA last financial year. We doubled our subscribers. We're in a very similar situation over there what Vodafone is here. We're very reliant on foreign workers and tourists in Singapore, and of course with COVID and lockdowns, we're just starting to see that emerge, and sales are starting to really pick up there. So I'm very confident we can grow that into a reasonably sized business.
And what are your priorities for the next 12 months?
Keep growing all the businesses while we can. We're going to have some headwinds. Soul Pattinson usually does better when things are a bit tighter. Coal mining is going to be on our side for a while. TPG is emerging with the merger of Vodafone. I'm very confident we can keep growing that. And the land and development side of Brickworks is going to continue to grow.
Robert Millner, thanks so much for your time today.
Good to talk to you. Cheers.